Leanne, let's go back to the Union buildings. Now, I know a little bit earlier you gave a brief timeline of the significance of the Union buildings and the creation thereof. So I'm just going to remind our viewers who may have just joined us that this being the national government, the seat of the national government here in Tshwane, and also a national monument. It's a semicircular structure with about 3 parts or so, left, right. We also have the amphitheatre that's now recently been named after Dr. Nelson Mandela as the Nelson Mandela Amphitheatre. It was created or designed, I should say, by Sir Herbert Baker. It took about 3 years to build, but don't take my word for it. Let's speak to people who know more about architecture, and it is the first black or non-European architecture in South Africa who joins me now, Mr. Aziz Tayob, along with his son, so we can see he's passed on the trade there. Hanif Tayob also joins us. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
very much.
Let's talk about the significance of this structure. It's quite something, and it's steeped in history as well. Just take us through that.
Okay, the building was designed by Sir Herbert Baker, and it was built over a 3-year period and completed in 1913. You know, if I start off and I say there's so dates of this, you know, that coincidences that happened. It so happens that the World War I started in 1913, and the World War I ended in 1918, and that is the date when Mandela was born. And it's further, we go further and say that Mandela in 2013, his memorial service took place here on the steps of the Union buildings. So it's 100 years later. It's almost that there is a design beyond us, beyond what is, you know, what is planned. You know, you may have said that the devil is in the detail just now, but I say God is in the details. He plans, he plots. Men plan, men plots, but the better plotter is God. And here we see an icon, and we're sitting here unveiling of the statue, exactly 100 years. It's almost like everything we see here behind us was created for this day. And the building is an imposing building. And the reason why it's imposing is because the architect, Herbert Baker, took so much detail, not only in the building, but in the siting of it. He went around Pretoria. When Pretoria was a little town, it basically had Church Street and few other streets just below. But he went around until he found the right place, which is Menkes Koppies here. And from here, he found the stonework that you see on the building. From here, he sited the building in such a position, and he moved it around. From the early drawings that I have seen of the Union buildings, it was sited in different places on the Menkes Koppies until it was positioned where it would be visible from the different, call it gateways, or in Afrikaans we call it poorte. At the Unisa gateway, you've got the gateway at Potgieter Street, you get a gateway at Paul Kruger Street, and so on where the zoo is. So the building can be seen from all these places, and the building itself sees the city overall, and it sees all these landmarks that we're planned for.
And it looms large over the city, as if to watch over it. And I do stand corrected. I think taking a look at the lineage and stepping back, it's quite interesting how history plays itself out, especially with regards to Dr. Nelson Mandela and the Union buildings as well. I'm going to bring in your son in this conversation earlier on, and I know you didn't think I was paying attention, but you said it looks a bit awkward when you look at the naked eye and say, why these two sections joined by this semicircular structure, why the significance thereof? But the reason is there's a bigger story behind that. Although it may look awkward to the naked eye or the architecture's eye, there's significance to the way in which it's built as far as structure is concerned. Talk us through that.
I know the intention was originally there were 2 equal wings in which were brought together by a semicircular building. As mentioned, there's a lot of symbolism in the building. Originally in 1913, it was actually meant to represent the coming together of the two nations, which was the Boer and the Boer republics and the English, which today would almost seem ironic and absurd. But that's why the tower represents the coming of the two nations. And as I said, but it's absurd today. But whereas if I go further, today if you look at the lawns of the building, it's actually got more significance. The lawns actually help bring the nations, let them be part of the building. So it's actually it was able to transform to complete something completely different, which is maybe more relevant today in our time.
And let's talk about these stones behind us. I wonder whether or not the cameras can see them. The ones that are here, rough art, a little rough and rugged, but very polished as well. I understand these are the original stones that you could have found here a little bit earlier, much earlier in our history.
In fact, all the stones that are here on the site are from this copy, Menkes copy. And the evidence of it is there is a little old site workshop that is just to the east of the Union Buildings here, which still exists as a heritage site, and you can see the remnants of the stones that were not used and the stones that were used. But if you actually look at it, it's almost like preparing a podium out of stone, and then the material is hard and rough at that level, and then the building is placed on the stone podium, and the sandstone, in fact, is then it's prefabricated. Today we talk about prefabricated buildings. This is early when the project was built. All these stones are precast, prefabricated, cut to size, and the workshops were just to the east of the building, as I've said, and they are from the Mpumalanga province. The sandstone was acquired from here. But if you look at this architect, to what lengths he went into the eastern side of the old Transvaal, so to say, and sourced the material from mountain ranges and sourced them and brought them onto the site and integrated them. Now, the lessons that we learned from here is that if you want to design a good building, an imposing building that will last 100 years we're talking about, you cannot say that the building must be only 200 millimeters thick. It is an imposing thickness. Its foundations are made to last. You can't say that you want an RDP building to last if you go down to RDP standards. Whereas one shouldn't look at the material that will not last. If you want something to last, select the right material, make the choices, and come up with a solution. And this beautiful country with its beautiful weather and climate, I believe no building in South Africa needs to be air conditioned if one understands what is today called the greening of buildings. You need to understand the climate, orientate your building towards the sun, the wind, and the earth. This building comes out of the ground. You can see the color of the building, and you look at the color of the ground here.
Indeed. And it was built to last. It has certainly stood the test of time. Extremely significant when you go into the nitty-gritty details of it all. And I couldn't agree with my guests, Aziz as well as Hanif Tayob, that this area is so culturally significant. And I'm sure the architects of that day did not realize just how symbolic it would be. Even the lawns speak 1,000 words when it comes to the Union Buildings.